We are today going to hear from our president, BG Moore, of expansion. And BG is going to come to you and talk to you about expansion, about the challenges that we recognize with mainframe teams. And he will share information with you about how we approach that. And then we're going to leave room after he speaks for Q&A, because we want today's session to be completely interactive, and we don't want to do what I would call like a lecture series, nor do we want to do death by PowerPoint. So BG is going to come to you, Q&A after he speaks with you. Then we will hear from Hector Guerrero, who is a partner of ours. Hector is a veteran, and also he works hand in hand with the Department of Defense with the apprenticeship programs, is president of the company ERA Solutions. We will have Q&A after Hector speaks, and then we will hear from Jason Hood, who is the CTO at Stratascale, CTO-CIO at Stratascale. And Jason is actually a former client of the program that we will talk to you about that does training for diverse workforce, and he will come to you, and we will have Q&A after Jason speaks. Then after that time frame, you will hear from two persons that are graduates of the Step It Up program, and that is the program that we will talk about with you today as well. And then we will leave a few moments at the very end for any last questions that you may have. But we thank each and every one of you all for being with us today, and we appreciate your time and value your time. So I'm going to now hand it off to BG Moore, the president of Expansion. BG? Uh-oh, and you may be on mute.
Can y'all hear me now?
We can, yes, sir.
Okay, I apologize for the mask. I'm traveling today, so I'm in an airport, so please bear with me. I don't know who's running the deck, but if y'all want to go to the next slide, that'd be great.
Okay.
I'll start by explaining who we are and how we got into this. UST is a global IT consulting company with delivery centers on 5 continents and about 40,000 employees. We're based out of Aliso Viejo, California. When we started 20 some odd years ago, realized that talent was the key to being a good consulting company. So we wanted to hire the best and the brightest. What we found out really quickly, though, is that even though we were hiring IT engineers and computer science majors, the majority of our positions, folks coming right out with an undergraduate degree weren't prepared for them. So we developed our own in-house accelerated training methodology in our curriculum library. And that's literally 20 years ago. So we've been doing this a long time. Then 9 years ago, we were going back and forth to the National STEM Conference, and some of the statistics that they shared with us kind of overwhelmed us. And I'll share some of those with you. There's more payroll dollars inside the IT and technology than there is in science, engineering, mathematics added together. So you have this huge economic generator, but yet if you look at who hold down those jobs, predominantly they're white male, and if they're not white male, they were Indian male. So our original mission statement, if you would, was to bring diversity to the technology sector and to help our clients take and find more diverse candidates. And we've been doing that for 9 years. We're pretty proud of what we have. We've got about a 90% pass rate. Of those that pass, 87% get hired by our clients. Of those that get hired by our clients, 92% are still with our clients 3 years after they hire them. We're approved by the Department of Labor through the apprenticeship program, which means our students take and receive college credit hours for going through our classes. We're approved by the Department of Defense on the Skill Bridge program, which means we can take active duty military as they transition into civilian life 180 days before they transition out. And we're approved by the Veterans Administration and the Valor Act. So that's just some of the credentials we have. We have been doing this long enough that we really have the model down, or that we're able to train people rapidly. And when I say rapidly, in about a 6-month format, what differentiates us from the other boot camps that are out there is that we pay the students to go through the program. They become our employees. The reason that we do that is because they have to work 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, going through the class with a couple hours of homework. So it really is an immersion type of training process. I guess probably 6-7 years ago, we were our first client that we took and did mainframe for was Comerica, and they asked us to take and do a group. We did a mixed group, both diverse and veterans, inside that class, and we trained them up on COBOL JCL. That was such a successful class. We have repeated the mainframe training over and over. In fact, we've even done a mainframe system admin class, which was very successful for Fiserv. So, the question on this webinar is, well, that's great, but what's the need for it? And I don't know how many of y'all are trying to take and find the talent in the mainframe area, but the populace of the mainframe developers is aging out. Now, some universities are starting to come back and to train on mainframe, on COBOL, but it's still not at most of the universities level. So you have to find people that are coming through some type of boot camp to be able to find the talent you need to replace those that are aging out. The way our program works is that you tell us what you need them trained on. We customize the training for the actual client. We give you a copy of our curriculum. We have you go through, say, I like this, I don't like this, we need to add this to it. We look at the tools that you're using inside your shop, and we add those to our lab. So they're not only getting the theory behind going through the training, but they also take and pick up the tactical knowledge of how to use your tool set. Go to the next slide, please.
Mm-hmm.
And y'all, we'll send this deck out to all the participants so you have it. We put a lot of good information, but once again, I'm not trying to kill you by PowerPoint. What we're finding, though, is that in 6 months, we can take somebody through a training that will get them to the point that they have the basics and they can enter in with a good foundational understanding. And then they work for 12 months on site at your location, going through OJT to take and to learn that. A lot of people say, well, can you really learn enough in 6 months to be effective? An undergraduate degree in computer science is about 65 college credit hours. And you're going to have a variety of subjects. You're going to have a couple of database classes, a couple of language classes, and so on. A college credit hour at an accredited university is equivalent to 10 hours of classroom training. So you'll get about 650 classroom hours of training to be able to get your undergraduate degree in computer science. We're going to take and go through a curriculum that you've approved and that you've said that is that what the people need to know to be effective as an entry-level COBOL developer, mainframe developer. And we're going to give them 700 classroom hours of instruction on a curriculum that you said this is what they need to know. So they actually get more classroom instruction going through the Step It Up program than they do going through a 4-year degree, undergraduate degree program in computer science. And this is just, we call this our brag slide. It's a couple of our statistics that I had shared with you. The one that I didn't share with you is that of the clients that have gone through the program with us over the last 8 years, 67% have come back from multiple batches. So, we're proud of the statistics. As far as giving you a variety of selection to choose from, you tell us the demographics you want to go after. We go find those demographics. We bring them in. You select who's going to get a seat in the class. And we typically have 10 applicants for every seat that we have in the class. Next slide, please. Okay, this is just some of our philosophy. Once again, we'll send you all out the deck. But I know I've thrown a lot of information at you, and this one's one that we're kind of proud of. Vice President, when President Biden was Vice President Biden, he came and visited one of our classes. He was so impressed with the class when he was taking and addressing C-SPAN, he gave us a shout out. Later, when he became president and he was taking and choosing his cabinet, he took and actually recalled our class from 5 years before and said that, a lot of the boot camps that are out there are where the students have to pay in to take the class, and then they pray that they're going to be able to get a job. We take and actually pay the students to go through the training, and we guarantee if they pass, they have a job. So, we've got accolades from up and down the deal, and we have client references that we can share with you or let you talk to if y'all have any specific questions about it. Once again, I threw a lot of information at you at a really short period of time. I'd take and open it up if anyone has any specific questions about how we do the program, or anything else you would like to ask about.
BG, one of the things I think about before we open
Sorry, Myra.
I'm sorry, that's okay. We talked about the Step It Up program and how we've approached the training from that perspective, but do you mind sharing a couple of the other points with regard to expansion and how we look at the market? Because we do the training when clients need that, but there are a couple of other things that we can do also, right?
Certainly. I mentioned UST. UST is our parent company. Literally, they're global in nature. They bought Expansion about 8 years ago, so we're a wholly owned subsidiary of UST. And when I moved over from the chief of staff at UST, where we started the program, I brought the program with me when I moved to Expansion. If y'all trying to figure out who's who there. Expansion's footprint was that we have 5 delivery centers across the U.S. located in college campus towns. Like, we're in Kearney, Nebraska, where the University of Kearney is. We're in Ames, Iowa, Iowa State. We're in Manhattan, Kansas, where Kansas State is. In Fort Collins, Colorado, where Colorado State is. And we did that strategically so that we could pull from those graduates coming out of those universities to fuel our delivery center. Our model, though, is that by taking and being in lower cost communities, we can take and give our employees a easier, low cost living access, a little less hectic lifestyle. And the trade-off is that they take a little lower salary requirements, which allows us to take and to pass those savings on to our clients. But if you have needs, we can take and either put full-time people on site at your location. They can work out of our delivery centers, or if we need to take and co-locate where that we have a delivery center in location, but you don't have room in your physical structure, we can set that up to do so. Now, the Step It Up program is designed so that once they go through the training, we cover all the front end cost of doing the training, and then you take and try the folks out as contractors for a period of time, and then you hire them. So it's a contract to hire type of situation on the Step It Up, but you don't start paying anything until they actually graduate the class and show up on your doorstep for deliverable work. The Expansion model is just like any other consulting house, where that we have Mainframe folks available that you can take and hire to take and be contractors, either on a staff augmentation basis, or if you want us to do any type, we're doing a lot of migration to the cloud. Or optimization, and we can take and do those on standalone solution-based statement of works.
BG, thanks much. You guys, BG is available for questions at this particular point. If you have any questions about what he's talked about or introduced you to, please feel free to unmute yourself. Okay, I'll give you a few minutes, just a second or so to do that, because we can keep moving to our other speakers if not. BG, one of the things that I think about is with the expansion model in particular, we know we talked about Step It Up and the fact that we can do the training and we could customize that based on the curriculum and how we work starting out with Comerica. And we do have some of our current students that are in the next batch of the Comerica mainframe training on with us today. But the other thing that we can do with this is that if a client came to us and said, I've got, talent here that I'm looking at, people that I would like to upskill, that's something that we are more than willing to do, is to look at their existing employees that they want to move into technology maybe, and assist them with being able to train them via the Step It Up model. So would they go through the same 6 months, or do we test them as before they come on board, or how do we work with employers with that? And you're muted, unfortunately. You got muted. Yep.
I don't know why it keeps doing that. I apologize. Let me.
No, that's, I mean, Zoom.
Okay,
there you go.
now I'm back.
Yeah.
And Meyer, really, it's whatever the client needs, right? We've had good success in taking folks that come from other development disciplines, even though, as we all know, mainframe is a structured language as opposed to an object-oriented language. But if someone understands the, SDLC, we can take someone, if you have folks in your shop that know another language, we can teach them COBOL and JCL, and that it can be done in a much shorter time frame than the 6 months that it takes us to take someone that has absolutely no knowledge and bring them up to speed. We've also, as you mentioned, been successful in taking folks that come out of the business unit that understand the business processes and the business side of the equation, but they haven't ever had any technology training. And we can put them through. In that case, they would be at the same status as the normal step of the resource would be, where that they'd need a full 6 months of training. But we're happy to work with the clients in whichever way they need to take and to upskill their talent.
Thank you, BJ. I appreciate that, because I didn't know exactly how we worked with, like you're saying, folks coming out of different areas of a company's business. So if there are no other questions, and I'll give you opportunity, are there any questions for BJ before we move on to our next speaker? Okay, well, you know what? I would like to bring to you now Hector Guerrera, and Hector is actually the president of ERA Solutions. And as I mentioned previously, Hector actually is a veteran that has worked with the Department of Defense, and he has also started his organization that focuses on apprentices, because as a result of the Department of Labor and Department of Defense programs, the apprenticeship and skill bridge are something that, Hector, I think you kind of are what I would consider to be subject matter expert on both of those areas, right?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, well, thank you for being with us today. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
So talk to us a little bit, Hector, about, again, some of the things that you do with regard to both apprenticeship and the skill bridge programs.
Yes, so firstly, as you know, a lot of companies are really thinking about bringing veterans into their organizations. And so Department of Defense Skill Bridge Program, which falls under Department of Defense Instruction 1322.29, is an initiative for active duty transitioning service members to do on-the-job learning, to be able to work directly with some kind of a training organization or maybe even an employer. And going back to when I first discovered expansion, which was part of the Department of Labor Veterans Employment and Training Services Apprenticeship Pilot Program. Sorry for the long acronym. So that program is the Department of Labor pushing transitioning service members to get into IT and other industry clusters. If you're not familiar with how the whole process of a person joining the military, a lot of these folks have never applied for a job in their life. They just go straight from high school or college right into the military. And they may do a term, which could be anywhere from 2 to 3 years, or they can be a mid-careerist or a retiree. And so when they're getting out, a lot of them are missing a lot of the skills that programs like expansion offers, like the soft skills and that additional upskilling or reskilling that they may need in order to be career ready in the type of programs that you guys have available. So this is working with expansion has been a tremendous game changer for the Department of Labor and the DoD, because the mission is to get these folks employed. And so when you think about inclusion, when you think about the Department of Labor wanting companies to be more open to hiring women and certain demographics, the military is that pipeline. And so I'd like to, kind of leave that out there to see if anyone would be interested in kind of understanding more about SkillBridge and what it is.
So Hector, with that being said, are there any questions for Hector about SkillBridge? Do you understand SkillBridge and what that means? Okay, please, if you
And
have a
Meyer,
question.
if I could take and do a shout out for Hector. Hector has folks at each one of the transitioning bases, and there's, not every military base is a transitioning base where that folks can come out when they're getting ready to go into civilian life. So he's a great resource to be able to tap in to capturing this talent. The other one I'll take and say is, and I'm biased on this, but our veterans have made excellent employees. We've never had any of our clients complain about the work ethic or the enthusiasm or the ability to get the job done when they're utilizing the veterans that go through the program. So I can vouch for that and highly recommend them to you. And if you didn't pick it up, and the SkillBridge program, the military actually pays the student's salary while they're going through the program. We provide the training for free. It's a win-win for everyone, because the soldier takes and knows what the next chapter in life, so it takes the fear out of what they're going to do after they get out of the military, both for the soldier and for their family. So that's a huge benefit. And it's one where that they're very dedicated.
Awesome. BG, I think about that mainframe class that we just finished it up over in Seattle, Washington, and that was, I think, 2/3 of those participants were veterans, and they are on the job. The client is happy, and they wanted to learn mainframe technology. I mean, they had an incentive to do it for all the reasons that we're talking about. Hector, what are some of your other thoughts about, again, what you've experienced with the Step It Up program and the training and everything that you would like to share?
Well, the great thing about the Step It Up program that when you all came on to the apprenticeship pilot, you had the most placements. So that white paper that we did actually go up to Congress, and Congress, they knew it was UST, because that's what we put in our white paper. What I would also say is that 75% of the folks exiting the military, they want IT. They know about the industry. They know where it's going. A lot of their folks are a lot of their friends and peers are getting out, and they're spending their GI Bill, which, we don't want them to spend their GI Bill. And, with working with you all back in, July up to now, a lot of these service members are actually saving their GI Bill for other things. Another great thing about your program that I really like is that, not just the fact that the employers actually get to save money in upskilling their talent, you guys take the risk. So that's definitely a plus for them if they're not familiar with what you guys offer. In addition to that, these service members are not, they're not out of their pocket, and when they are veterans, they get paid as an apprentice, and they're even able to use certain benefits that are allotted to them, which actually increases their pay during the apprenticeship, which in turn allows them to, stay in the program all the way through, graduate, and then continue on to the company. A lot of them have replied back to me, and now they're telling their friends about it, and which is great for us, because now with our organization, more bases are really interested in us bringing this program to their location.
That's awesome.
In fact, I like to add, if there's any companies on here that have positions in Germany, Germany is one of the locations that has no SkillBridge program, but they're very open to this, and we're actually working on an MOU, a memorandum of understanding, to bring a program like this to Germany.
Wow. And oh my gosh, Hector, you know what is interesting, because BG and I spent some time over in Krakow, Poland a couple of years ago doing this program for one of our clients in Krakow. But BG, as Hector was speaking or talking, I thought about, would you like to share when he said we take on the risk? Would you like to kind of elaborate on that a little bit?
Sure. The client takes and chooses which students are going to get into a class. And once you choose them, we hire them and pay them to go through the training. The client doesn't pay anything until the students graduate. The client takes and decides who actually has mastered the skills that we were trying to set out to do by grading what we call a capstone project. So the way the statement of work is written is that you agree that if they take and they pass the whatever test or project that you give them to do, then you'll try them out as a contractor. If they take and don't work out for any reason and you're not happy with them, you just call us up and say, hey, this person's not working out, and we remove them, and you have no financial obligation for them. And you can take, and our typical contract period is a 12-month period. If you want to hire them earlier, you can. If you do, there's a buyout if you hire them before the end of 12 months. But if you wait to the end of 12 months, you can convert them to your team at no additional cost. The typical conversion rate that we see, this is between you and the student, is somewhere between 55 to 65,000. We take and typically charge for the hourly rate while they're on a contractual basis. Working as a contingent labor to you is somewhere between $53 to $58, depending on how long you have them inside the class.
BG, thanks much for that, because I know that it kind of gets confusing sometimes about who does what when. So thank you, because we do take on that risk on the front end, that front load. So Hector, do you have any other information you would like to share? We'd like to take some questions now.
Definitely. With regards to the whole veteran demographic, so what are the veterans bringing to you as a company? Well, for one, tax credits. So depending on the veteran, depending on what their status is when they leave the service, some veterans can bring up to $9,600 in tax credits. There's also, when you're participating in an apprenticeship program, every state has some program that expansion is tied to, if a lot of them don't know that. This is through the Work Opportunity Program, or under the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act. The loyalty, just by them getting that chance is philanthropic, but much more so, the traits that they're bringing to your organization. They're loyal for a company to give them that chance to be a part of this program. Being able to show up to work on time, that's another good factor that I've heard from employers over several years, that we just need people to show up to work. That may not be the case in your organization, but being able to give back to our nation heroes. 200,000 of these service members are exiting the military every year, and they don't all get jobs. Some of them end up on unemployment. Some of them go through college and get a degree that is useless. And so I do urge if you're a company and you're looking to fill, you got some open positions, this is a great program to take advantage of, especially with regards to helping our nation heroes to get into meaningful employment. Thank you.
Awesome. Hector, I thank you too. I think about when we first moved into the veteran space, because we've concentrated on women and minority women, and BG was the one that told one of our largest clients that some of the work that they had veterans doing, that we could provide a true career path. And that is what training and technology allows for, is truly a career and not just a job. So thank you for sharing that. Are there any questions you all for Hector before we move on? Okay. With that being said, we have the opportunity now to bring to you a gentleman who has witnessed firsthand, literally, the Step It Up program and how we have gone about doing training and how it has impacted workforce. So Jason, I'm going to ask you, there we go, got your pen there so we can see you. And Jason, please come to us and tell us a little bit about your experiences with working with UST and expansion and the Step It Up program.
You got it, Myra. I appreciate that. As a reminder, my name is Jason Hood. I am the CTO for Stratascale. which is part of SHI, but previously had worked for a large Fortune 500 automotive supplier. And we partnered with Expansion and Step It Up to help fill some of our openings that we had in the organization. I'll talk about a couple of things with you guys. I want to go through why we went into this program and what we got from Step It Up, but I want to talk especially about where we saw benefits to not only the participants and to our organization, but also I want to talk personally about some of the benefits that I saw from the program and where I think I personally even grew with participation in the program. So we were a large automotive supplier. We're in Toledo, Ohio, and we were having trouble really finding resources to fill a number of roles in the organization, not just mainframe roles. And I want to talk about the breadth for a minute here. We brought people into ABAP. We brought people into project management and communications. We brought people into our expense management part of IT and really working with the business side of IT and a number of different other functions within the organization. And so we went beyond just the traditional mainframe platform that we're talking about here. And so I do want to highlight that there is a lot of other capability within the program. But we found some great candidates that changed our talent pool. We knew we wanted to come into this. And I think as BG mentioned, IT is traditionally white and male. And we knew we needed to change that within our organization. And so we especially focused on the Step It Up program to help us make those changes in our organization. And they brought great talent to that. I think to the point where we hired a number of them. I know I personally hired 3 out of the program, and other peers of mine in the organization hired others as well. And I think that was a big game changer for us because it brought a lot of different thought into how we did things. And I'll touch on those in a little bit, especially as we get to how our organization was impacted positively. But I think, I think BG made the comment as well. You get a very loyal group of people. They've gone through training. We're offering them jobs, and they really enjoy that setting that they now are a part of. And we've seen that they've stayed and participated in the organization ongoing. We don't see people leaving. We don't see people, bailing out to go to other companies with a skill set that we might have paid for. They're really staying in the organization and being a part of that organization and growing their careers. I said I wanted to touch on participants, employer, and then myself. Let's jump into the participant side of this and what we saw the participants doing. The training has been talked about a lot. We actually focused even beyond just the technical training into some of the soft skill training, organization, communication, the ability to manage projects and time. And so we went beyond even just what was the traditional technical training and asked them to learn more about working in a business environment and being part of a business team. We loved the fact that we could get immediate feedback, not only from Myra and the Step It Up program about the candidates and how they were doing within the class, but we could begin to provide feedback into Step It Up once the participants became part of our workforce. And so for us, one of the great benefits was being able to help mold and shape the direction that they were going and be able to participate in that. And I make it sound like maybe just those 2 organizations were impacting the participants in the program, but they had great say into the program in what they did. One of the people in particular, who may or may not be on this call, really became very vocal in how she wanted her career to go. And we took that as part of what we wanted to do and really earned that respect from us that she took control of her career. And so I think to us as helping with the participants, they had that ability to impact their career and know where they wanted to go. Because these organizations, you get a student group together, we saw great teamwork and really friendship amongst those groups of people. They tended to come from similar backgrounds, and they had a lot of just friendship growing over those 6 months. I think it was mentioned that, Biden came to one of the groups. We heard about that within our organization. That was one of the things that was kind of highlighted amongst all of them and all of the talk. So not only was our group talking, but other participants in the program were talking, which we thought was really kind of cool to build up that teamwork within the Step It Up program and already start them thinking about how to be a team and how to be a part of a team. The last thing I'll kind of touch on here is we provided the Step It Up participants with a mentor in our organization, somebody who could kind of help them figure out and navigate the business mindset, something that was probably different than an employment base that they'd been in before. And with that, we saw a growing set of confidence. I touched on that with the person that really took control of their career, but we saw this growing confidence in them to not only help really change the way that we were managing IT, managing projects, communicating, but to the point where, as an executive leader in an organization, I had these people coming to me telling me, perhaps I was doing something wrong and should be doing it differently. And that person really became almost a sounding board for me over the course of working with that person, they really became a valued part of my team. And I wanted to be able to go to them and ask, what do you think about this? Should I do it this way? Do you think I'm communicating the right way? Does this look like garbage or is this great? So not only did they come in with a technical skill set and a soft skill set, but that confidence and that growing ability to talk to me as a senior leader in an organization was really valuable. So, from a participant side, I think I watched them grow just exponentially. They really became a key part of our organization. We stepped over to the employer side. So what did the employers get out of this? And how did we really change our organization? First off, we were in Toledo, Ohio, small town, very limited set of people that want to come to Toledo and live in Toledo. And like I said, we found a loyal group of people that wanted to be a part of our organization and wanted to become part of that. That helped expand our base. It helped change the way that we worked. And it really helped change the footprint of people that we had in the organization. And Step It Up really helped drive that for us. We saw a new set of ideas coming in. We saw different skill sets that were very difficult to find. In this case, the mainframe one, but others as well. And then we found a good conduit for good local talent. We found out that we could go to Step It Up, we could find the right talent base, get them trained, and make them a part of our organization. And as was mentioned before, that risk was pretty small for us. We didn't find a lot of people coming in who weren't capable or didn't have the drive or desire. They all had the drive and desire. They all had the capability. And for us as an employer, we really had this great opportunity to really change our team. And so that was an important part from the employer side. And then from the cost side, I know BG mentioned cost. Cost is always something that's out there, and you start to look for talent and try to figure out the cost side of it. And recruiting is always one of the most expensive things, believe it or not. Salary is there, but you're always going to have the salary base. It's that recruiting cost. And really, they helped us keep that low. That was an important part of our relationship with Step It Up. We didn't have these exorbitant recruiting costs. We didn't have this money that was spent into this. So our risk, again, was very low based off of that. And last, I'll kind of step over to my own personal growing with this program, the things that I learned as we went into this program. Again, a very different mindset. I learned different backgrounds. I learned that people grew up very differently. And you go back even just a couple of years, I didn't know all of that. And it was a gap that I had in my space. And so this is really something that helped fill it. I grew with friendships. I grew with people here who are now considered some of my friends. I desire to see them. I want to spend time with them. And I think that that was one of the things that I really enjoyed out of the program, was a different group of friends, a different group of people who became part of my world. And hopefully I became part of their world. I watched their kids grow up. I watched them buy cars. I watched them get houses. I watched them do things that were fun, changed their world, changed the way that they were living. And it was really exciting for me. And I think last thing that I'll say is it was fun. Right? Sometimes recruiting, sometimes just onboarding people becomes the monotony of what are you going to do today? How am I going to go find the right talent? But this was fun. We had a lot of great laughs. The whole organization had a good time being a part of the Step It Up program. We saw the ability to impact lives, and we saw our lives being impacted by people in the program. And I can't say enough that it was just fun. We really enjoyed that as we started to lift the burden off of trying to find the right people. We didn't have to worry about the resources that were coming in. We had the right people, and it really made our lives a lot more fun within the organization. And I will tell you again, I'll go back to the talent that Step It Up brought to us. They changed our culture. They changed the way we worked, and they really helped make it fun. And so I appreciated that from the participants in the program. So I'll leave it at that. Myra, I probably went about my 10 minutes, but I'd love any questions that people might have about the program and what it was about.
Jason, you are truly an ambassador for the program, and it's so awesome. I'm getting pings and messages already from people just talking about how wonderful. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. Thank you. Guys, please ask Jason questions. Oh, my. Okay. Jason, one of the things a couple things struck me as you were talking, but one of the things that struck me is when you were talking about just that synergy that the ladies brought to Toledo. And I think about the passion that BG will say it all the time, that we know that if they can get through this assessment test that we do which is math and English and analytics, it's not technology, but if they can pass that test, and then when we are interviewing them, if they demonstrate passion, we know we can teach them. And what you just kind of emphasized there is when they came in the door, they brought such a passion about what they were doing that it helped to change the culture even in the organization because of that energy. And that's I mean, gosh, you just nailed it right there with that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think, and to speak to some of them, right? And then I'm gonna highlight Krista a little bit, even though she'll speak later. They came in with different backgrounds from the educational opportunity, right? We traditionally went after computer science and IT majors, and we brought those people into the organization, and we all thought the same way. And now we're bringing in people with communications and English degrees and music degrees and other degrees that were not any relation to the computer platforms that we were running. And we trained them to do things. We brought them on because of the different backgrounds that they had, and even that educational side of that. IT people are notoriously terrible communicators. We're bad at it. We make terrible, boring slides. We go in and talk boring in meetings, and we really don't have that kind of flash and pizzazz that goes along with that. Krista was that person that brought that flash and pizzazz to our group. She was the person that really kind of lit up the room, made us part of an organization that people looked at and thought, my gosh, look at what they're doing here. It's so cool. And so, I want to highlight that she doesn't come from a traditional IT background, but she brought that communications mindset. And she was the one that would call me out. You're doing this wrong. Why is it? This is really boring and dumb. Why are you doing it this way? And so I always appreciated that about Krista, that she was willing to stand up and say that to me, had the confidence to do that. And, I found most of the time she was right. She was spot on with what she was telling me. And I think that background she had in communications really played an important part in that.
That's so cool. You guys, I'm gonna tell you what, if you have any questions for Jason, please feel free to ask him now, because if not, I'm the tag team here, you've already introduced her. So I'm getting ready to bring Krista up, but please ask Jason any questions, please.
And if not, reach out to me on LinkedIn. My phone number's out there, email's out there. Feel free later to search me out.
That's awesome, Jason. Thank you so much. I appreciate you being with us today. Oh, he says, you've got a question on what does Stratascale actually do?
Yeah, so Stratascale is an organization that's part of SHI. We focus on enterprise, so really think Fortune 500 with more than 10,000 employees. And we're really doing, system integration, everything from looking at IT strategies and the delivery of IT strategies to the execution of that. Big projects right now with a large beverage provider looking at emerging technology and how to change their footprint of technology in their space, cloud migration, security. We're working with a large shoe supplier right now, doing some security footprint changes and making sure that they're ready for whatever might come. So really focused on large opportunities in 5 areas: cloud, security, automation, the digital experience, and then data intelligence.
And I have to brag and say, you're also out there. Anytime someone talks to you, you're definitely letting them know about stepping up and saying, you guys need to talk if you've got a talent gap.
Yeah, I spend a lot of time with IT executives and organizations, especially, like I said, at Fortune 500. Mm-hmm. And I would say at least half of my conversations have to do with the talent gap and the change in staffing that they're looking for. And so I've directed a lot of them to Myra, and allowed them to spend some time with her. So I hear that all of the time from executive leaders and organizations.
Jason, thank you much. We really appreciate it. And I know you're going to have some folks reaching out to you on LinkedIn. And you guys, we've got this recorded as well, so you can definitely be in touch with Jason. BG, before we go over to our graduates, do you have anything that you would like to say as we change the...
No, Jason, thank you so very much. I do appreciate it, sir.
Awesome. So with that being said, you guys, I have to tell you, the next person that we're going to bring to you is Krista Brown. And Krista actually, as Jason mentioned, moved from Detroit to Maumee, Toledo, Ohio area. And Krista, I think if I'm not mistaken, you were valedictorian in that first Detroit class. And you did not come to the class with an IT background. So with that being said, Krista Brown, I'm going to turn it over to you so you can talk about just your experience of being a graduate and how you've seen the trajectory that it's allowed for you in your career.
Thanks, Myra.
Thank you.
And thank you, Jason. That was awesome compliment. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Man. No, I don't have an IT background. Now I do. I came in from the art world, poetry, painting, dance, kind of that jazz, writing, huge freelance writing. So that's where that communication space came into play. So I had zero experience with technology other than Word documents and maybe a couple spreadsheets here and there. The boot camp and the classes were very good. They put us in a lot of situations where we used real life scenarios, so it didn't feel like school. So it kind of gave us an opportunity to apply a lot of the technical skills that we learned in real life examples, which made it easier for us to retain. From a student perspective, it was grueling. There was lots of studying, lots of reading, lots of education. It's not easy. It takes a lot of commitment, but it paid off. I came into the program with just a high school diploma, and now I have an MBA. I came into the program barely aware of what I wanted to do. Now I love everything I do. I'm in program management, organizational change management. I just had somebody call me a couple hours ago, ask me to help them troubleshoot something that I probably would have never even been able to pronounce 10 years ago. So it's kind of been ever evolving, maybe every so often. It's also afforded me the opportunity to move so I can be near my son. So his dad and I can kind of rotate some things. I didn't have a car when I joined the program. Our old boss did help with that. So there were a lot of different things where it completely changed my life. It was a lot of hard work. It was a lot of dedication, but the program definitely changed my life as well as Dana's life. Not really sure if anyone has any questions or what part of the program I should talk about, but that's my spiel.
Krista, you know what? I remember at graduation, and I tell this story sometimes. I remember at graduation, your mom coming to me, and she was in tears. She was happy, or they were happy tears, but they were kind of sad tears. And the sad tears were, Mom did not want you to move from Detroit to Maumee, Ohio. And I said, Mom, you've got to let her go. It's 45 minutes down the road. She'll be okay. I bet you your mom is a happy camper now, isn't she?
She is. She is very proud. Very proud that I went, very proud that we saw it through.
Just cause, I mean, you were brave. You really were to get into the program. And you guys, if you can imagine to come out to go through a test and an interview process and not being certain, even if you're going to be selected, and the courage that takes in which to do that. And then to go through the program, and you say it was more like giving you real life experience through the class, but BG tells people, and you remember hearing him say this, it's like drinking out of a fire hydrant. You kiss your family goodbye because for 6 months, you are going to be heads down studying. So for you to be class valedictorian, that was major accomplishment.
Thank you. It was a lot of studying, a lot of work, but it was well worth it. I believe in the program very much so because of that, because in the moment during that 6-month period, it did not feel like we were going to be prepared for the real world. It just felt like we were just passing tests and taking in a lot of information. And then near the end of the program, there were several situations where we were all kind of realizing how much we had learned and how prepared we were. And then even my first couple of years at Dana, there were moments where something would come up and I know how to do that, and I realized, that was something I learned from a mentor or a coach or someone that we met through the USC Global Program. And it might've been 2 years ago, but it came up, I know how to do that. I remember that. It all paid off in the end, even though it didn't feel like it in the moment sometimes.
That's so awesome. We've got some folks here that are currently in a cohort right now. And I know they probably wonder if there's a method to the madness. And yes, there is a method to the madness, because at the end of the day, you never know when you will need or use what you're being taught. And there's a reason that we're doing it that way. Hey, BG, do you want to add anything regarding Krista's being with us?
No, Crystal, thank you so much. I appreciate everything you've done, and you've always been a fantastic spokesperson for the program. So thank you for your participation. We appreciate it.
So awesome. Krista, thank you much. And we will be in touch. Thank you, and thank you again.
No problem. If anyone has any questions for me, same, I'm on LinkedIn. If you guys have any students that are still going to the program and they need some encouragement, I'm here for that too.
That is so awesome. So awesome. Well, you all, we have one last student, and then we're going to close out for the day. And we have a veteran with us. We got Jonathan Zapata. And Jonathan, let's see here. We're going to get you pinned up here because we would love to hear from you. You guys, we really knew that we wanted to hear a couple of different perspectives. We're celebrating Women's Month, so we had to celebrate and bring Krista to us, and we're so thankful for that. But Jonathan, as a veteran, we thank you for your service, and we are so glad that you're able to be with us to talk about your experiences as well.
Thank you. Thank you. First off, thank you to everybody at UST. Like Chris was saying, it definitely is a life-changing experience. It wasn't a lot of what I expected. I'd already actually been in school for the last year and a half studying IT myself. So it was a little bit different. It was actually refreshing. School sets things up a lot in a way where it's just learn this lesson, try to soak it in, take this test. Particularly with our mentor Mark and with the instructor that we had, Mr. Whalen, which was incredible, very hands-on, very concerned about whether we were learning the material in time or not. It is very structured in a 6-month course, but it's not in a way where you're being, how do I explain this? You're not going to feel that you're forced throughout the 6 months as much as you're going to be feeling like you're challenged. If you're an individual who likes to learn, you like to take on new challenges, this is definitely an avenue. Considering where I started and where I'm at now, I'm still using Mainframe very much, but I'm not necessarily in the COBOL world the same way. Now, my participation in the company where I'm at, which is Fiserv, involves more in storage, which does deal with a lot of the COBOL, a lot of the JCL that we had to learn. It definitely through the 6 months, you'll build a lot of camaraderie with the people there. It helps as well when you transition into a new company, not feeling like you're the only person there and being able to reach out to other people is a huge, huge advantage. I've been in companies before, which my previous career in the past was in finances, and you go from one company to another sometimes, and you can feel kind of like a fish out of water. You may not know anybody. You may feel a little bit out of place asking questions if you don't particularly feel comfortable about something. But going in with a group of people that have learned the same as you at the same pace really helps. It kind of gives you a leaning shoulder in case you have a question you may not feel comfortable about. You can bounce it off of them before you go to any management. But even from experience, management has been very willing to help, very understanding of the learning curves. They definitely do a lot here where I'm at to accommodate and throw extra knowledge on. They were very understanding that we come on with a set amount of skills, but definitely, like it's been mentioned before, within the veteran community, if you put it in front of us, we're going to get it done.
Awesome. That is so awesome. And you know what? I actually didn't realize that you were with Fiserv, and that's so awesome because if I'm not mistaken, I think I just heard it recently, they're on like their fourth or fifth class or more than that with us. And a prime example is they come back because they see the quality of the candidates like yourself that are graduating, and then you hit the ground running and being able to go into their, into their corporation and really help and just do things. I'm sorry, I did not realize that you were with Fiserv. That is so awesome. You guys, listen, questions for Jonathan. Questions for Jonathan. Okay, so Jonathan, you were studying IT before you came into the program. Once you entered the program, have you had any, trepidation or regrets at all about going into a boot camp style training as opposed to on that path that you were with your other studies?
Well, I mean, in school, I was paying instead of being paid.
There you go.
One big thing. But, like I said, this is very structured. You're learning what you need to learn. In school, I was taking ethics classes for the third, fifth, seventh time that were easy A's, but they're a waste of my time, a waste of my money. Didn't get me anywhere career-wise.
Yep.
And, realistically, the IT world is so extensive. It doesn't really matter where you come in the door from. The options of where you want to end up pretty much are endless. It's just a matter of your drive and how much willingness you have to keep learning. But the reality, without lying to any of you, is the IT career is continual learning. You're never going to be at a point where you can say you're the best at anything. There's always new technology around the corner. But with that, that means there's also more opportunity. There's more growth. There's more potential for not just, career development, but also, the pay that comes with it, the friendships, and really a lot of it, the experience that comes with working in IT companies has been very different than I've ever had in a financial company.
That's awesome. So you know what, Jonathan, as you're talking, usually if I don't have my expansion background going on behind me, I have this background where you see all these degrees hanging, and what we don't talk about. student loan debt and all that money that you pay for that stuff, that's real, okay? And this is a program where, again, you don't have to pay to be, you don't have to pay to learn, and we pay you to sit in the seat and be taught. And again, the career path that you're creating for yourself is something that you will not regret. I remember taking a class, a statistics class. I was taking that class over again for the 4th time. And I'm like, okay, how many times are they going to want to take tuition from me for this one class that I just can't seem to get through? But they will keep taking the tuition from you as long as you're willing to pay it. But no, the IT experience is just profound. BG, we're getting ready to wrap up here. And are there any questions for Jonathan before we get ready to close out? We're almost at the top of the hour, and I want to make sure you guys, again, what you can anticipate is that the presentation today will be shared with you. And Jonathan, I thank you. Krista, I thank you. Jason, Hector, BG, I thank all of you all for being a part of today's webinar. And BG, I know that what we plan on doing is sending out today's presentation. We want to communicate with everyone. You can share the presentation with others. We've got the director from our program. I think she's in the airport. I asked her to speak. Owen, if you can unmute yourself, you can be the one that closes out here. Owen? I think she's in the airport and said that she may not be able to unmute. BG, would you like to have some parting words with us?
Sure. Thank you, everyone. If we can be any help, whether you actually participate in the Step It Up program or if you just want information, we can get you in touch with Hector. If you need to take and pick up some fine transitioning out military resources, if we can just kind of tell you some of the tips and tricks we learned, we're happy to share and to help in any shape, form, or fashion. So thank you for your time today, and we look forward to speaking to you in the future.